Welcome to the Sailor Noob podcast, where a superfan and a noob talk about the original Sailor Moon episode by episode. I'm your host, Mika and Kal, joined by my co-host.
I'm the co-host and the noob. My name is Caliban.
And we're a couple of magical people ready to moon cosmic power make up this episode. And today, we're bringing you a very special episode. It is the Sailor Noob Q&A.
I feel like special as a modifier is it played out?
Maybe. I mean,
you're saying you're getting something special.
Okay.
It's like, it's just okay. All right, what's this going to be?
Well, now
what
that
are you trying to sell me? Okay.
Now that I said it out loud, it reminds me of like in the 80s and the 90s, like, and now for a very special episode of Saved by the Bell.
We're going to find out that, Mika has explosive diarrhea or something like that. And at the end...
Shh, where's it?
Sorry, well, I figured they'd hear it. And at the end of the episode... If you or your family want to know more about explosive diarrhea,
right, exactly,
call your library.
What?
Well,
yeah,
sometimes there would be a number, like if it's cancer, like the American Cancer Association or a suicide hotline or something like that. But sometimes it's just like, call your library. Don't put that on them. You're the one that was bringing this special episode to us.
Yeah, I know.
And then just throwing it off on the librarian.
Like the librarians are like, they're just waiting by the phones. They're like, what is the special episode this week?
Well, we get a lot of calls about this diarrhea thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you can still call your library and they have like an answer desk. And
Sure.
I don't know if this is... The whole mystery of libraries, we better figure it out fast because libraries really aren't going to be around in a few years, are they? But like, I don't know if it's like...
libraries.
If it's legal or if they've put themselves, they made themselves the shell answer men of, which is something else we don't have anymore, of knowledge. But they have all these books, right? And so if you call them up and you go, what country is Djibouti the capital of? And they're like, oh, well, I'll look that up for you. And then they come back and they'll tell you.
Yeah, they're very
Now
polite.
it's just Google. And before that, it was, Jeeves or whoever.
Right.
Is this special enough for you?
I think it's pretty special.
You promised special. I didn't want to skimp.
I think we're delivering on special, don't you?
But maybe the internet has done this to us. It has eliminated that necessity for librarians, but also it's created the social anxiety so that I would never call a librarian now anyway.
I'd be too embarrassed.
I wouldn't call anybody.
I know,
you use your
right?
phone for calls? Not me.
For work I do. Constantly for work.
Well, that doesn't count.
So, okay. All right. Yeah, so we wanted to thank our patrons, first of all, for all of their support, because thanks to you, we are doing this very special episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we had said before on a previous show, we had set a goal when we first started our Patreon, and no objective really in mind, just thinking, it'd be nice to have something to sort of reach for, and if it works out that we hit a certain amount, then we can think about what to do then. And
right.
A popular thing to do is a Q&A, finding out a little bit more about us or any questions the listeners have. And so that's kind of what we did there, and then we hit the number.
Yeah.
So we're doing it. And I guess I don't have a lot of experience with this sort of thing, but we'll have to think of I guess future goals or other things to try to hit for the future.
Yeah.
Kind of extra special things that we can do for the listeners. But yeah, today it's a Q&A session.
Yes. I don't even know how to do this. This is like brand new territory.
We just read questions.
We just read questions?
You're given quite a few questions from the listeners from various sources. And so, yeah, I think that the questions fall mostly into, we didn't get any questions about geopolitical concerns or anything like that.
Gosh darn it.
It falls mostly, I think, into the categories of our opinions about Sailor Moon and the world of Sailor Moon. Our podcasting histories or ambitions, the world of podcasting.
Yes.
And then also like the future.
Right.
Not like flying cars, but
Oh.
but just where we see the show going in the future, both Sailor Moon and our podcast, and things like that.
Well, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, how do we want to do this? Do we want to take turns reading questions, or?
Yeah, I suppose we can.
Okay.
Let's start off with our Sailor Moon questions here. And,
all right.
I'm gonna. So the listeners sent their questions in, and I took them all down and organized them, but I didn't. I only have the screen names here.
Right.
And I think I know most people's real names that go with their screen names, but just to smooth the process out, you know who you are. We just save screen names.
Yes.
So we got a question from Robin. Robin asked, what did you think of Sailor Moon before watching the show, or what you know about it beforehand? Do you want to take that?
I'll take it. Sure. I think I talked about this a little bit on our very first episode of the podcast, but I'll elaborate. I really liked the art style. I first became aware of Sailor Moon I was in junior high, and I just really liked the anime style and the way the characters were drawn, the character design, and I just thought it was really cute and fun, and also they were freaking superheroes, which is amazing. You don't see a whole lot of a group of female superheroes at that time, and I loved it so much. I saw a t-shirt that I liked that had them on it, and I bought it before I watched the show. That's how much I liked the art style.
Oh, you're a poser.
No, I liked the art style,
Oh.
and so I bought the shirt because I liked the art. And then I was like, I had a friend who was really into anime, and I was like, hey, what can you tell me about Sailor Moon? And she's like, oh, you want to know about Sailor Moon? And one thing led to another. She showed me Sailor Moon. I was immediately hooked. And I kind of we bonded a lot through junior high and high school, like watching anime. And I kind of affectionately referred to her as my anime dealer because she got me hooked on like all different anime.
Yeah.
Like she showed me all sorts of different things that I never would have. I mean, it was early internet days, right? But she had stuff that I was like, oh, I never would have known to look for this, you know?
Yeah.
So,
we'll start you off on the easy stuff.
yes.
Like Sailor Moon.
Yes.
Then we'll move you into the harder stuff. Get you onto that elfin lead or whatever.
Right.
I don't know. Somebody should have asked like what animes equal what drugs, and we could have done that.
Oh,
but,
God. Yeah,
thank God
know.
nobody did.
Well, how about you?
I think I also talked about this a long, long time ago, and that was that it was a show for girls, and I didn't care about it.
Uh-huh.
And I hate to think that I was so dismissive, but you have to remember that, this is fairly early days for anime.
It is. That's another
And
thing
I was
wanted to
also,
mention.
a young person, and so there were things that appealed to me and things that didn't visually appeal to me, whether the art style or just, the idea of what you were getting from a show. If it had like robots or guns in it or something like that, I was probably tuned into it. And if it was, I'd been burned by your Tenchi Muyos or your or your Ranma 1/2s or whatever.
Oh, I
not
love
saying those aren't good,
Ranma.
but I'm saying that they didn't, compare to the other kind of shows that I was trying to watch.
Okay, that's fair.
A little too much investment, not enough action, although there's action in those shows. And so I didn't even really give it a chance. I was like, clearly this is just not for me.
Okay.
But what I knew of it beforehand was nothing. So I based that completely on nothing, totally prejudicial, and, didn't know that it was, shaped very similarly to, just like any 90s anime. I mean, they all kind of come, the 90s anime starter kit, plucky
Right.
young hero.
Yes.
Cast of characters with various hair colors.
Yes.
Fighting some kind of bad guy week to week.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's not really all that different. It just is, appeals maybe to girls more than boys.
Yeah.
At least young girls.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's... I would agree with that. I mean, it's kind of like similarly, I was not into Dragon Ball because that was for guys, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, coming up in 2026, Dragon Noob.
Oh, no.
Don't write that down.
Okay. Looks like the next question is for you, Cal. So good thing I'm reading it. So Still 90 asks, Cal, what characters do you like so far, and in what ways has Sailor Moon exceeded your expectations?
That's nice. Still, it's 2 questions. A bit of a cheat. No, they're related. I like... It's interesting because I don't want to say... Maybe later we'll have a question about who I don't like, but I like all the characters. I think they're all really well formed, and it's maybe a cop-out to say... Because it doesn't say favorite, so I'm going to cop out. I like them all. And I think that they all fit very well into, a show. I don't think that there's any missing roles in the show. Mm-hmm. There are some characters that we have kind of aged out of because the show isn't... It's still about the daily life of this girl as well as her superhero life. But there are certain things that have kind of fallen away and that we don't need so much anymore. Like a Miss Haruna, for instance, R.I.P.
Or her father? Question mark?
Yeah. ... But I like all the characters.
I do too.
Yeah. And how has it exceeded my expectations?
Yes.
Probably in that way. When you think about, or when I think about the, and I still, I can't even think of an anime that fits this description. So maybe this is just a stereotype, but like the stereotype of the, I got a sweat drop on my head. Oh, this person, they're always yelling at people and their head gets really big. Right. And like, just sort of like, hangout, anime with like chibi characters and stuff like that. It's just a lot more than that. I mean, it is a superhero story, and I'm the guy that knows superhero stories. It really hits that button, for me. I wouldn't like it as much as I do. I think without that. So it has exceeded my expectations in terms of the depth of the storytelling and the depth of character that it has for a show about a girl that will just drink a big bottle of juice because she thinks it'll make her boyfriend like her.
Yep, that's our Usagi.
and bad guys who are made up of household objects. Screaming the name of that object out.
Or lovely.
Both Robin and Sarah asked, essentially, what are some of your favorite episodes in the series so far? Do you have a favorite episode or a selection of favorite episodes?
This one is really hard for me, I think. I wrote a whole bunch down, but I don't think that that's fair to really go through all of them. I will essentially say that some of my favorite episodes are when each Senshi is introduced, excluding the Mars episode was not super strong, and I was really disappointed with how Pluto was introduced in R. I just think it was really lackluster, and she deserves so much better than that. But everybody else, their first episode are some of my favorite episodes, and I would include episode 92 when we first really get to meet Haruka and Michiru. I think those are excellent episodes and some of my favorites. I mean, I love the episode in season 1 with Luna and Rhett Butler. I think that's episode 31. It's hilarious and funny, and there's so much going on. And Zoisite in the sewers. I mean, I don't know what's not to love about that one. And I love the 2-parter ending of the first season too. I just think there's so much going on there, and it's heart-wrenching and upsetting. And then, of course, the episode where we find out that Usagi is the Moon Princess is one of my ultimate favorites. So, How about you?
We don't have a website, so we don't have our ratings and stuff up.
I know.
We have to find a solution for that. But, I mean, the numbers are all there. Mm-hmm. I think that my favorites probably just cleave to what my ratings were, at the time. So, going way back to the first series, probably Usagi's a model, the flash of the monster camera.
That was an excellent one.
Which was, for me, I think the first time that I realized that I was really going to like this show. Up to that point, I was like, okay, yeah, it's this little Chanela's or whatever. Oh, that's cute. I was just trying to lose weight, or, and like, oh, is it going to be this the whole time? And that was the first time that I was like, oh, this is exciting. Like, there's action here. There's character development. There's Sailor Moon kick. Like, there's just...
Which is great.
Yeah, there's just a lot that is really working for me here.
Mm-hmm.
I also liked episode 29, which was the Too Many Girlfriends was the Deke title. I'm trying to remember what the... Total Chaos, the Messy Love Rectangle.
Yeah, that was a fun one. Yes.
Which had a Yoma that I really liked as well.
Mm-hmm.
Whose name I don't remember at all. This is the one where we meet Motoki's girlfriend.
Yes.
And so there's like this, messy love triangle. And then it just felt like, I don't mind it being about girls who are in junior high and that sort of thing for most of it. But suddenly it was just, oh, this show can do kind of an adult drama as well. Mm-hmm. And I just thought that was impressive. And I think if I had to pick another one, it would be the Curry Romance Triangle. I like all the shaped ones. All the ones that refer to specific shapes.
Right.
Because that was another one that was like surprisingly warm, to, make a pun about spice.
Yes.
And also seeing such a really incredibly complicated plot for the pets and Calaveras to be involved in as well, where we see like just like I'm gonna knock out a perfume counter lady, like we gotta buy costumes for this, and we gotta get this fruit, and we're gonna go to the store opens at 8 a.m. We gotta be there ready to set up, and just think about all the things they have to go through to get this energy or whatever.
And then Ray riding a shopping cart.
Yes, Ray riding the shopping cart.
Yeah. Christine asks, what is your favorite Senshi attack and or transformation? Yeah.
Is it me?
I'm going to hand it over to you.
I just talked. Do we mean like... So transformation, obviously, is all about the animation.
True.
Do we mean the same thing for the attack as well? Like, what's the coolest thing that they do?
I think it could be the coolest thing that they do, or it could be visually? The animation. It kind of, whatever...
I think my favorite attack is it's the shoe cream sundae. Because like especially in S, or not in S, in Sailor Moon Classic, I like Jupiter is always there Jupiter's not screwing around. She's not, doing the, when like cartoon characters run and their legs just become a circle and it goes, that's like Usagi's always trying to get out of the way of something. But like when Jupiter acts, it's to finish whatever's going on immediately. And how she does that is she usually obliterates something with a lightning bolt from the heavens.
Yes.
And so when she does Supreme Thunder, like we're done. We're done playing around. Yeah. And I like the little antenna that comes out.
Fantastic.
Unfortunately, she barely uses it anymore. Mm-hmm. So I'm upset about that. My favorite transformation is it live action or cartoon?
I think they're asking anime, but if you want to go live action, it is not specified.
I make the questions what I want them to be.
Yeah.
It is the live action Sailor Venus transformation. Yes. That is by far the best transformation.
Yeah. I think if I was going to pick a live action, that would be the best as well. But if I have to pick an animated one, I'm going to have to go with Sailor Moon. And I really like the one in S a lot. There's a lot of twirling around and spinning and ribbons becoming skirts and other things. And I love the entire thing. And the animation is really cool as well. I think that my favorite attack is actually Mars's burning mandala, because I think it's really cool looking, and then you just set somebody on fire. I mean, what's not to like? I think that Mars has some really cool attacks. She is not my favorite Senshi, but I think that a lot of her attacks are really cool.
Yeah. And they fit well with her kind of idiom.
Yes.
Well, speaking of favorite Senshis, Robin asked, who's your least favorite Senshi?
Oh.
See the problem with now you got to talk.
Now I got to talk.
Maybe we should answer it first ourselves.
Okay. Should we do that moving forward?
Sure. No. Yeah, okay, we'll do it. Yeah. Yeah, because we'll get mine out of the way. Wash
Okay.
the bad taste out of the mouth with yours.
All right.
My least favorite Senshi, as of early 2022, is Sailor Neptune. Mm-hmm. Because they're just, I don't know her yet. Mm-hmm. She's, is she the Nikki or the Paolo? We don't know. But I don't have enough, and her defining characteristic is that she's super great and everybody should love her.
I know.
And I hate when shows tell me to like something. Do you know what I mean?
You're like, I'm not going to like that.
Yeah, like, no. You got to prove yourself.
Right. Okay.
But that's just, that's my short-sightedness.
I want to preface this
Uh-oh.
by saying that I don't dislike any of the Senshi, and I like all of them. And it's very hard for me to do something like this and think about ranking and that sort of thing. But I thought about it, and I have to say, Michiru.
Oh!
She is gorgeous and talented, but I think that out of all of the Senshi, she's kind of the least interesting, and I really hate saying that. I think that she has a lot of emotional intelligence. She doesn't always use it. Like, look at the episode with her and Ami, and she, Haruka has to point stuff out to her, like what's going on, but she was upset. I don't know. I like them as a couple a lot, but if we're going with like individual characters, that's who I have to go with.
Plus, we're in a situation where they're still, they have a secret or whatever. We aren't.
Yeah.
We don't have access to their full personalities really yet. So, I mean, like I said, as of early 2022.
Yes. May change.
Interesting. Why else would a lady need to learn to juggle an orange? To replace her personality.
It's a
lack
lemon.
Thereof.
Okay. Okay. All right. I guess it's my turn to ask the question. Oh, it's for me. I guess I'll ask it anyways.
Well, okay. This can be a free-flowing thing.
Okay.
So both Still 90 and Christine asked questions for Mika specifically, about how your opinion has changed, both of the 90s anime and of the characters that you liked or disliked since the first time you watched. So how do you see the cartoon, the anime, differently now as you're older? And are there any characters that you did like or didn't like that opinion has flipped?
Yes.
Okay.
I will
so Noah
extrapolate.
the okay. All right.
So I think that, definitely some of my opinions on characters have changed. Mako-chan is still best girl. That is the same. But when I initially watched the show, I liked Minako fine, but I didn't love Minako. And I was kind of like indifferent to her, but now I really love her a lot. Like she's super fun. And there's a lot of depth to her, I think. And she, I know she gets compared to Usagi all the time, but there's differences there too.
Yeah.
And she's the OG Senshi, in my opinion. Sailor V was first. So I just think that she is very interesting, and some of her episodes have become some of my favorite episodes, like episode 100 that we just talked about.
Yeah. That's
one of the top, and I really enjoyed the episode when she was a nurse. I mean, it's goofy and out there, but I really liked it.
Yeah.
I also used to hate Rei because she was so mean to Usagi. But watching it again, I realized that, she really does care for Usagi a lot and that she has her back. So I have a better appreciation for her. But that being said, she's still like my least favorite inner Senshi.
Huh.
I like Rei way more in PGSM and in the manga than in the anime. I just think they made her way too mean.
Interesting.
Yes. And
that's Okay.
As far as my opinion of the anime, how has it changed? I as soon as I was aware of it, I was intrigued and really interested in it, and I I saw it and immediately fell in love, and I was obsessed. And it's the first anime I ever saw, and it made me fall in love with anime and Japanese culture and trying to learn Japanese language. So I feel it has a very special place in my heart, and it always has. But I did kind of go through like this brief period in like my 20s, like after college, where I was like, no, I want to be taken seriously. I'm an adult now. I can't wear shirts with cartoon characters on them because I'm an adult. As you look at your shirt, the Sailor Moon. Yes. And I had a wall scroll that was like a 90s wall scroll, and it was like right after Usagi had helped transform Black Lady back into Chibiusa. And I know, but it's her and Tuxedo Mask.
Why did I block out Black Lady? Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. And it's like basically them, like Usagi holding Chibiusa and Tuxedo Mask. And but I got rid of that. I kind of wish I hadn't, but it's a wall scroll, whatever. But then in my 30s, I realized, screw it. I love Sailor Moon. I don't care. I love this so much. And I'm not ashamed of it. And I'm going to flaunt my fandoms. And I'm an adult, and I like nerdy stuff and cartoons. So deal with it. So, next question. Noah the Pokemaster asked, what is your favorite outfit of the 5 main characters? Now, do you read that as your one favorite outfit for the 5 main Senshi, or your favorite outfit for each of them?
I wonder if it is favorite outfit like their uniform or outfit that they have worn in everyday life.
Right. Because, I guess we could answer it a couple of different ways.
Oh, boy. Well, favorite means what? You know it's your favorite, so...
Yeah.
If you know it, say it. Go.
Okay. I think my favorite uniform is Jupiter's. Love it. It's green and pink. It's her. I love it. How about you? What's your favorite uniform?
Okay, so where is uniform?
Well, we could do outfit instead.
Oh my god. Mamoru arguably not a main character, so no toothpaste jogging outfit. I would say I'm gonna cheat and say Sailor V.
Okay.
I think that I like the orange. That's fine, but the classic red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
In the fuku and the mask. Definitely Sailor V's outfit.
I like hers a lot too. If we were gonna go with casual outfit,
oh boy,
I would say Usagi's blue dress from the first season that has like a little bow in the back, and it's a sleeveless white hoodie, and she's got like a little crescent moon pendant. She wore that quite a bit. I like that a lot. And runner up, because I have a fond place in my heart for Ray's pink overalls. So
yeah,
because it's so 90s and I love it.
There's so many Senshi styles I'd have to flip through because so many clothes have come and gone.
I know.
But I would say just off the top of my head, the outfit that Ami wore recently.
Yes.
In Damp Spirits.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the Cloverway titles. They're easy to remember than the Coland titles, the official titles. In Damp Spirits, episode 97, somebody was like, we got to dress this girl up. We have to do something a little extra. And so they did, and she looked great.
Yeah.
X Rostafair said, "What scout would you like to be friends with? Best friends." And I'm supposed to answer it first.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say, Ray. I think that Ray, first of all, I don't think that she's mean or too mean.
Okay.
I understand her frustration. I understand her type A personality. And I think that she would, I'm not saying it'd be easy to be friends with her, but I think I could handle the level of friendship that you would get. I think that she doesn't make friends easily. But when she does make friends, you are her friend, and there is no brokering that, and she will defend you and probably expects you to defend her.
Yeah.
And it'd just be like, it'd be cool like that.
Okay.
And then every once in a while you can push each other around on a laundry cart. It's fun. if we're talking live action.
Yes, that was fun. I think I would have to go with Ami because I think she's so kind and considerate and sweet, and she's really smart. And also, I think that she's also very loyal, and similar to Ray, she'd have your back. And I just, I think that, Ami can keep a secret. She's not gonna blurt stuff all over the place. You can trust her. She's not gonna be mean to you. She's gonna be open and listen to you. I would just, if she brings up homework like every 5 minutes, I'd be like, okay, just tone it down a little bit. But especially, Ami in live action, I'd totally be best friends with her. So, yeah.
Once she was able to say your first name.
I know.
Without cringing.
I know. Oh, it's so sad. Robin says, Mika, what is your favorite one you're looking forward to? Spoilers. I don't know.
Can you tell us what series it's a part of?
I don't know. I'm kind of looking forward to later this season. It's been a long time since I've watched all of the episodes, and so I really like this season by and large a lot. I think a lot of really cool things happen. I like the outer Senshi, as and so I think there are a lot of really cool things up ahead in this season.
Huh.
I guess is what I would vaguely say.
Okay. That was hope that satisfies you, Robin. Here's a question for me from Christine. In what ways has Sailor Moon surprised you or disappointed you? I would say, I've talked about how it surprised me, I guess. I've talked about how it was a lot more, I don't want to say mature, but I'm going to say mature.
Complicated?
That's mature. That's implied, I think, when we're talking about literature or about fiction. So it was a lot more sophisticated. There you go. Than I thought it was going to be, and that was surprising to me. And also, this one cuts both ways. I was surprised at the quality of a lot of the animation, just in terms of the creativity of design and execution. Now we flip over to disappointed. This happens in all shows, but sometimes you can tell that they ran this one off fast.
Yep.
And I'm not just talking about, I expect from Henshin or Tokusatsu type shows that you're going to get, let's kill 30 seconds with this. Just eat up some time, transformation.
Yeah.
Let's all four of us transform.
Yes.
Cut that theme up into, different measures and sections, and we got just enough. I got a minute out of that.
Yes.
That happens in all shows. But sometimes they're not working as hard as they could be. And I think the Bob Floy episode, which we rated very highly, but that was a great example of, you came up with this idea where there's this giant freezer in the back of Bob Floy.
Yes.
And they're all getting killed by a Yoma that blows ice or something like that. And you didn't take on much time to draw it, and it just kind of looked kind of cheap, and it was only those parts, it was just certain parts of the episode. I think and then some of the designs are sometimes weak, but they're offset by the really well done, complicated designs too.
Right.
So for every Tyron, or
Yes.
the wine Yoma.
Yeah.
The wine Yoma.
The wine
It's
Yoma.
My new TikTok channel. You get something really complicated and amazing, like the train one.
Yeah, I know.
So
Totem, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, just what disappoints me is that it's mortal after all. Like it is just an anime series from the 90s, like any other show.
There are some episodes that are disappointing. I don't like that. Like they call. I don't think. "Quote unquote" filler, I don't think is necessarily appropriate because some of the filler episodes, the "quote unquote" filler, are amazing. But some of them,
There's very little filler though.
I think maybe people think,
And they've literally been beach episodes. Like it's literally that's the trope in anime, but it's literally just they're going to a beach. But this is a show about teenage girls, so it's not the kind of beach episode you're thinking.
right,
Instead, it's a dinosaur.
right,
Or it's a fire starter girl or something like that.
Right.
So even when they're doing that, and I don't think we rated those episodes too highly,
No.
but it's like, screw it. What's something that we could never ever do because of the structure of our show, and it is the Senshi fight a volcano, or something like that. And so it's like, all right, yeah, that's sure.
they're trying stuff.
Yeah.
I think some people think of the Aelin on arc as filler, which kind of makes me angry.
Okay. I was surprised at how much I liked the Aelin on arc after
Yeah.
hearing so much about how bad it was.
Yes, I think it gets too much crap. I also, going back to something earlier.
This is mine, but
I know, but you reminded me how my opinion of it has changed. I just think watching it as an adult, after watching media more critically, I'm just amazed about how much information and references and time and detail go into every episode, and like, oh well, this is a reference to this and this is a reference to that, and like I just think they put a lot into this anime, and it's not just for kids like you were saying.
yeah.
Still 90 asks, so this one is for me. Which Kyoro Miru was your favorite to research? So I've got two answers. One was the blood type personality theory, which I think was really early on in
Yeah.
R. That's just fascinating, I think, to me, because it's I mean, I guess the closest we have is astrology, but it's a little. I feel like there's like a little bit more to it than that, and I just how much people put into it, and it's like, oh well, your blood type this, so of course you don't try too hard. It's like, oh my goodness, it's like, okay.
Don't blood type me, man.
I know. Sometimes being in Japan is harsh.
I saw a video on YouTube where a guy it was one of those like, hey, I'm a foreigner, or he was Asian, so maybe he was just, well, I mean, you can still be a foreigner, I guess.
Of course. Absolutely.
But he was like, the 5 stages of living in Japan, and it's like, you think it's going to be a dream come true, and you're going to be dancing with anime characters. And then he went through like you'll hit a point, a year, 18 months in, where it's like, I just want like a hamburger.
That is 110% true.
In a bun.
Yes.
I'm tired of people staring at me
Yes.
on the subway or on the train. And then, there's other stages where it's like, I don't know. He kind of maps him to the Kubler-Ross thing or whatever. But, the good news is you'll come out on the other side and you'll feel, like you belong more, but you'll definitely hit a wall where it's like, okay, I've been to Super Mario World. Now I live in this tiny apartment and all the food is weird. Yeah.
I hit that point a little bit earlier because like I really wanted like a hamburger and not like the beef patty with the demi glaze on top with no bun. That's not what I wanted. And you would see it in like quote unquote Western style restaurants.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what this is, but okay. So we went to there is a Hard Rock Cafe in Osaka. And you go there and the portions are American portions. And we got huge hamburgers. We got drinks that weren't like half the size they are in America. And like we got a brownie and ice cream dessert. It was magnificent. So yeah, I totally feel that. And I would say the other one is when we talked about Takarazuka Review. Because I really enjoy doing that because I've been a fan of Takarazuka for almost as long as I've been a fan of Sailor Moon, and it was just fun revisiting it, but also learning more, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a really fun one for me.
Why do we have that here?
What, Takarazuka?
Yeah.
Good question. I think it's like because they have Kabuki and No, where it's like all male actors, you know, they like...
Yeah, but like, when America was founded,
yeah,
there still wasn't female actors on stage, at least not regularly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know, whatever.
Well, Shakespeare, it was all male actors too. That's a good point.
Yeah, but by Moliere's time, there were female actors, and that was the late 17th century, although there was, you know, backlashes to that. Look, we'll get a chance to talk about our theater background in a bit. So,
all right.
That's pretty much the end of our Sailor Moon questions. Although we'll be talking about Sailor Moon, of course, as we continue.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk more about ourselves,
okay,
our bodies, ourselves, and about our history in podcasting. And
Yes.
First question is from Christine, and she says, "How did you guys meet, and how long have you known each other?"
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sit down, kids. Get ready for a story.
Cal is going to tell us.
So we were both involved. We were both involved in a like a summer stock theater company where we live called Shakespeare and Company.
Yes.
And it is an outdoor Shakespeare repertory theater.
Yes.
So what that means is like for 6 weeks in the summer, it's on an outdoor stage by a swamp, which is a weird choice, but people come. It's, you know, very informal seating. You bring picnic lunch. You know, you bring food and booze and that sort of thing, which may or may not be legal. I'm not sure if they have a permit for that, but they do it anyway. And it's long. It's been going for almost 40 years, and I had done it at that point for like 6 or 7 years. I'd done this like every summer. And so that year we do 3 plays in rotation, and we were doing Taming of the Shrew, Henry V,
Yes.
and another play.
Non-Shakespeare play that you were also in. It was Goofy.
A comedy?
Wow.
I don't know, it doesn't matter.
It was a comedy.
Very memorable.
Yeah.
Whatever it was. Oh, I know what it was. It was The Imaginary Invalid, I think.
Yes, right? I think so.
And so I was playing Henry V in Henry V, and Diane was a part of the company that year.
I was.
And so she was only in one play.
I was.
She was playing Catherine, the princess, in Henry V.
Yes.
And so we didn't even get to we only saw, and if you know the play Henry V at all, Catherine is in a couple scenes. Henry V is in every single scene. And then there's like 1 or 2 scenes where we kind of cut to France and go like, oh, what's going on with the princess?
She's learning English.
She's learning some English. That's fun.
De Hans, de Elbow.
De Males.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, and then there's a big scene at the end after the English have won the war, and then Henry is going to marry the princess, and she's not like on board necessarily because this is a marriage of convenience, but Shakespeare's like, what if I took 15 minutes, 12 and a half, and I had both him, sell both the princess and the audience, really, that he's a good guy and this is all going to work out.
Yes.
Because it's a patriotic play, of course.
Of course.
This is like, all those movies that were fighting terrorists, after 9/11. This is kind of like that, right?
Yeah.
It's a patriotic play.
Yeah.
And so Henry's got to be the good guy.
Of course.
And you were also, you played,
oh, yes.
another role.
I did play another
double
role.
role.
Yeah. I was like, I think I played a character who was
if you know the story,
supposed to be male.
Early in the story, yeah,
Yeah.
there are 3 lords who this happened in real life. It's the Southampton plot or something. They tried to sell Henry out.
Yeah.
To the French.
Didn't go well for them.
No. So and it's this scene where we see that Henry's like not gonna put up with any crap, but he feels really bad. So he sends these 3 guys to their deaths, basically, once they get caught. And you played one of those guys.
Yeah,
So,
and you had a great bit of business where you were throwing tennis balls.
well, that's in the very beginning of the play. That's a different scene.
Okay.
But anyway, so the only interactions that we had was we were either rehearsing me yelling at you and like sending you to your death, or we were rehearsing like us kissing
I know.
a whole bunch. And so, yeah, and it was, it was the play. I think the play turned out great. One of the things that they do for Shakespeare and Company is we have to cut these things way, way down.
Yes.
Because they have to be about 90 minutes because they start at like 6 and once the sun's gone, we're out of time.
Yeah.
And so they had cut major parts out of this. And I had done this scene, the Catherine Henry scene, as a scene study in college when I was studying.
Oh,
so
I didn't realize that.
Oh, no?
No.
Really? So I knew it inside and out. And it had been cut to ribbons, like in this show. And I felt like it didn't get across because it's supposed to be like this redeeming thing. The whole time Henry's just talking about how we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and I'm going to feel bad, but I'm going to kill a lot of people, and it's St. Crispin's Day and all this. And at the end, you need to see him as a lover. It's jammed in there, but you need to feel like, okay, we like this guy.
Right.
And so I went to the director and said, can I put like 8 minutes back into this? And he's like, if you think that we can make it before the sun goes down and the mosquitoes eat everybody, okay, fine. And so you were very accommodating. I did a new edit of the scene, got the sides out and everything, and I think it worked out really good.
I think so too.
People had specific comments about that. And so we have all these pictures of us in crowns, looking longingly at each other. As a memento of that.
It's a great story being like, how'd you guys meet? Well,
and that was
Shakespeare
2005, 6.
7.
2007.
Yeah, so we've known each other for...
You passed the test.
Yes, 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've been dating for almost that long.
I think so.
Yeah, like almost 14 years.
Yeah.
So...
And the scene to get that going was long. Had to really do a lot of editing, but I think it turned out pretty good.
I think it turned out pretty great.
The tennis balls were a bit much, but...
To each their own. So Ron and Christine asked similar questions. They're asking, how did we form our podcast partnership and what made us get into podcasting? Well,
how do we want to answer this?
I don't know. I mean,
did you listen to podcasts before we started podcasting?
I don't think I did. I'm pretty sure this was I'm pretty sure that you came to me one day and you're like, I have this idea. And I was like, okay,
Here's
listening.
A Logitech headset, USB.
I got it all planned out.
It costs $15.
Yeah.
Put this on.
We watch all these comic book movies and stuff anyways. Let's
why are
talk
we
about them.
letting that go to waste?
Right.
Let's send bad words after good. I'd been listening. I don't remember how I got into podcasts, which is weird. I should remember, but I remember that I had been listening to podcasts and something. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was. You know what it was? No, there is a story here.
I think I remember. I'm remembering just now.
Okay, tell me if I get it right.
All right.
Because I'd been listening to podcasts and being like, oh, this is something I can do. Because I had one of those jobs at that time that was like, you're just working, it's numbers on a computer.
Yeah.
You literally talk to nobody all day long. Mm-hmm. Plus the place I worked, like when I started, I was a temp. And then when I was hired as a full-time person, people saw me as the temp still. So nobody really talked to me because they're like, this guy won't be around forever. And 6 years later, they were right. And so I was doing the podcast a lot. And then totally on a whim, we went to Emerald City Comic Con.
Yes.
Which is a Comic Con in Seattle, Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And I, you do that thing when you go to cons where you get your complimentary bag or whatever.
Yes.
And people have flyers and cards and you're just putting things in there.
Yep.
And, at the end of the day or the end of the con, you kind of dump it out and you go like, all right, I don't really need that. What is this? Okay, that's nice. So some stickers or something.
Yeah.
And I had a flyer for this podcast. They don't exist anymore, but I'll say it. It's called the Trade Secrets Podcast.
Yes.
And what it was just like 4 or 5 people who lived in Seattle and worked either in comic publishing or were like writers or authors themselves. I think one guy worked for Nintendo, and they just talked about comic books, like trade paperbacks, trade secrets. And it was a very informal cast. They weren't looking to do anything professional with it. And I don't want to sound demeaning when I say this, but I got maybe, they have 100 episodes, and I got like maybe 20 episodes in and went, I could do this. Not like they did a bad job.
No.
But like they're with their friends, they're talking about, they have all this comic knowledge, and I do too. And I was like, I can do this.
I know.
And at the same time, that was right around the time that the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie had come out.
Yes.
Which I had gotten to see early because I was writing reviews for some website or something like that. And so I had like some passes to it, and I got to see it early. And I was just so excited about it. I ended up seeing the movie like 7 times in the theater. Once in every format.
Yes.
And
saw it in the IMAX and drive-in. And...
Yeah. So, yep. And I wanted to talk about it. And so, I was like, here come the Logitech headsets. And we sat down and we talked about it. And while we were doing it, I thought, well, it's, as I learned how to do a podcast and to publish it and everything, it turned into, well, let's get an account with a publishing service and then put them up there. And then once you do that, you go, well, what do we talk about next? And then you go, well, I'm not just somebody who's like, oh yeah, I like The Punisher, but I don't like Miss Marvel. Like, I want to talk about the things that I see in my community, the nerd community. And so we start talking about issues, in the nerd community. And then,
Those were some of my favorite episodes in the beginning.
Yeah. What happened?
I don't know, man. Yeah.
There's too many
and sad
streaming
puppies.
TV. There's too many dumb shows to watch now.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's kind of, and that actually dovetails into Sarah's question, which is next. How did we come up with the idea to start the podcast, the Sailor Moon podcast?
Yes.
Because once we were doing Just Enough Trope for a long time, I think of Just Enough Trope as like my gym. That's where I go to like work out.
Flex your muscles.
To build them.
Yeah.
Then the flexing is other shows.
Okay.
So all the skills that I learned to podcast with, were made on Just Enough Trope. That's like the workshop. And so after that, I started Enterprising Individuals, which is the Star Trek show, and Crafty Services, which is the movie show. And at that point, I was like, I do all of these shows, and we talk about nerd stuff on Just Enough Trope, but
yes,
I want to do something that we can do together and that we can both contribute to, totally equally, that you can take the lead on. And either you or I don't remember who it was suggested, like, I like Sailor Moon. Let's do Sailor Moon.
I think it was your idea. I'm gonna give it to you. I think you were thinking, this is something that Mika likes a lot, and I think that Mika could talk about this for a really long time. So what about this? And
all those late night Denny's stories have to be good for something.
I know, right? I think you're a really good sport, though, because I don't think that everybody would be like, well, there's this anime that my partner really likes. I don't know. I guess I'll give it a shot. And you're pretty open-minded about it and just going for it. And turns out you seem to really enjoy it.
And there must have been something. I mean, I feel like I'm an open-minded guy, although I'm also very opinionated. Go figure. No, really, it's true. But I also, I don't know, like maybe it's just having it around, having, maybe if I knew somebody who really liked the aforementioned Ranma 1/2, like I'd be doing Half a Pod, the Ranma 1/2 podcast. We might use that. Don't take that. But just like you're, having T-shirts and talking about it once in a while, I thought like, all right, look, this deserves a fair shot from me, right? And if this doesn't work and we die in 6 episodes, then we just delete it and it never happened.
Right.
But obviously that didn't happen.
No, that did not happen.
Yeah. And I think there was one more part of that question that I missed here.
Okay.
What podcast do you enjoy making the most besides this one? I can't see this one. It's probably this one.
Yeah.
It's probably the most fun. But I think a close second, or maybe co-holding that position, would be the podcast that I do with my friend Kōhī Fame called Backtrekking, which is where we talk about episodes of Star Trek, both the old show and all the new shows. And every one of them, well, not every one of them, but most of them are kind of based on something. Mm-hmm. And so it's sort of like the Kiro Miru of Star Trek.
Yeah, right.
So every episode we talk about where that episode came from. And something that we've been getting into a lot recently is a lot of them are based on like short stories, or they'll be doing like a Casablanca, like they're clearly modeled on some earlier form of media. So if it's like, say, Casablanca, we'll watch Casablanca, then we'll watch the episode, and we'll talk about similarities, and then we'll talk, trivia about the movie or whatever it is, and about the Trek episode as well. And like, Kōhī's a really great broadcasting partner, and he always brings good observations, and he has, he's a little younger than me, so he's got a different sort of opinion and, viewpoint on some things that are really old that I'm like, no, you gotta watch this. Okay, sure. Yeah. But that's a lot of fun to do.
Yeah. That's a really fun show. That's a hard one. I like, we have a Patreon show called Mika's Extraordinary Playlist for Just Enough Trope, where we're watching movies that I have on my list. And I will not say that all of them are great or fantastic. They aren't. But, there's something that I felt like, oh, this is a movie that I have to see, or I want to see this, or whatnot. And it's fun watching them because you have, if you're like me, you have an idea in your head of like what a movie is kind of going to be like before you watch it. And then you watch it, and sometimes it matches and sometimes it's way off. Either it's way better or it's so much worse. And I think that the fun thing is like, okay, it's not fun necessarily always watching a bad movie, but sometimes it's fun to talk about bad movies. So
yeah.
And that's something I liked about Craft of Services when we did it as well.
It's kind of like every movie or anything that's lasted a long time has some kind of touchstone usually. Mm-hmm. It's something we haven't hit on the show yet. Roman Holiday. What happens in Roman Holiday? She sticks her hand in the.
Not a whole lot.
In the. She
She
sticks her hand in the statue's mouth, right?
Yeah.
And you see that like reference somewhere else, and you're like, oh, why are they sticking their hand in the? Oh, that's Roman Holiday. And then most people just move on. Right. But you're like, yeah, but I want to put something else on the hook there. I've got that, so let's watch Roman Holiday. Right. And then sometimes it's like, well, that's Roman Holiday.
They're going around in a moped.
There's a lot of mopeds.
Okay, look. I love Audrey Hepburn, and it's Cary Grant too, right?
Yeah.
I love both of them, and I was like, man, I have not seen Roman Holiday, and I can't remember when this was. It was either college or like right after, and I watched it, and I was like, it just kind of ended, and I just was like staring at the screen, and I was like, that's it? And I was very unsatisfied, and I was upset because so many other people were like, oh, it's amazing, and I'm like, I don't understand. But I think too, it depends on like when you see a movie too, like how old you are.
Like in 1953.
Well, okay, there's that, but like I love My Fair Lady, and
holy crap,
what?
I just looked up Roman Holiday.
Did you?
1953.
That's okay.
Here's the question.
That is one of his talents.
What is Caliban's secret talent?
Yeah. He can pick out of his head what year a movie came out. It's uncanny. But yeah, I love My Fair Lady, but like I grew up with it and it has a special place in my heart, you know, and like, but like watching it as an adult when you're like, isn't this a little weird and a little creepy? This old man is training this woman to be a lady, and then she like ends up
take it
being
up with
him.
Shaw.
I know.
Take it up with George Bernard Shaw.
I know. And then at the end, he's like, "Go fetch my slippers," and I'm like, why do I like this so much?
I'm accustomed to her face.
Yeah, I know.
Her fat face.
But I love it anyways, despite that. But I think if I didn't see it when I was a kid, probably wouldn't feel the same way.
Came out in 1964, by the way. Before we move on, I want to mention really fast that I do really like making Animetification it's one of our Patreon shows. And, just look at Kotaku just started a little podcast called The Anime Revolution, where they watch 3 episodes of an anime and decide if they like it or not. Just randomly selected anime.
I wonder where you got that idea, Kotaku. Step up.
What a great idea.
Just kidding.
I don't think it takes 3 episodes. I know in 1 episode.
I know in 1.
Yeah.
Ours is better. We know in 1.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
Is it Kotaku or screw you?
That's right. So our next question. So Ron and Christine both asked similar questions. What was the anime show that got you into other anime? I think I've already answered it. Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
What was your first
It's not funny
one?
to say Superbook anymore, but it probably was Superbook if you really think about it. I think I've talked about this on the show. Robotech is one of the first anime shows that they ported, localized to America. And there's a long-ass story about how that happened. And maybe if we hit that on Animetification, we can tell the story. But anyway, it was like, hey, let's sell this to kids. And it was the first time that it wasn't, Miguel the Gorilla or Scooby-Doo or Hanna-Barbera or something like that. It was, Japanese anime-style animation. Mm-hmm. So it looked different. And you're like, oh, what is this?
Right.
And it was that same thing of, it had robots and jet planes and aliens and stuff. And they were drawn in that, the faces are very simple, but the technology is very complicated. And for a young kid like me, that was like, oh, I really like that. Mm-hmm. But there was very few, if any at all, other examples of them doing that. Robotech hit okay, but nothing, it didn't really open the doors, the floodgates to other stuff. Mm-hmm. So there was nothing else for me to jump from that onto something else. Okay. Until movies started coming over. And so probably Akira, like a lot of people, a friend of mine, no, actually it was earlier than that. A friend of mine went to college, an arts college on the East Coast, and they had a lot of foreign students that brought like bootleg tapes and stuff. So we watched a lot of anime videos, movies and TV shows that were 3-4 times dubbed over, with snow lines and stuff like that. Okay. But yeah, like just seeing like Akira, which is and remains like the Casablanca of anime films. Mm-hmm. And just what they're doing with animation and not knowing that it took 12 years to make. And it basically bankrupted the studio that made it. There would never be a movie like that ever again. But that was like the perfect gateway drug into like, all right, let's get some more of this stuff. Right. And so I rode the wave like everybody else in the early to mid 90s. I was a little bit ahead of the curve. But by the time your Suncoast Video was just chock-a-block with VHS and then later DVD of whatever you wanted, then it was off to the races.
Did I tell you my story about Suncoast? Like, I went in there
Was it short?
I'll try to make it short. I went there with like a friend and like my sister, my youngest sister is into Japan as well, and we bought Japanese snacks. Who cares? Yeah. Whatever. We didn't buy like a $30 like VHS tape or DVD or whatever, but the guy who worked there was like giving us like this thing, like he was trying to give us life advice. Older guy. He was like, you shouldn't spend your money on this stuff. You should save up. My daughter saves up and blah, blah, blah. And we're like, what the heck is this? We're just buying snacks. We're buying Pocky. Why are you riding me so hard? Don't you work in this store? Does Suncoast know you're talking to customers like this? And we were like, did this guy get this job at Suncoast just so he could tell customers of Suncoast not to shop at Suncoast? Like, I don't know. It was a very bizarre experience, but
There must have been people that worked at Suncoast who were merely like, well, you seem like a nice, clean young man. You're available for the hours. Welcome aboard.
Right.
But in my experience, and I have a friend, except for my friend, I have a friend that worked at Suncoast.
Okay.
It's all film school students or wannabe film school students. And so they're going to judge everything you buy. And so maybe there was some of that coming through.
Maybe. Like, why are you spending $5 on Japanese snacks? But he was like, my daughter saves up to go on trips. I'm like, okay, can I pay for this, please? I would like, anyways.
And that daughter was Rihanna. Okay. Ron, Lizzie, and Sarah all asked personal questions. So personal. Specifically, what our hobbies are and what other things that we're into, like music, favorite movies, video games, so on and so forth.
Okay.
How do you want to tackle that one? Go for it.
Okay. So my hobbies, I really like to read. That's probably my biggest hobby. I love to read books.
Good stuff too.
Well, no. I'm not. Yeah, whatever. Okay, not entirely true. I love Jane Austen. Love Jane Austen. But I read a lot of YA. I read a lot of fantasy YA. I read like urban fantasy. I just like the stuff that I like. I like books with fairies in them. As Cal likes to say, my fairy books. It's more complicated than that. It's dark, okay? I know the fairies, but it's dark.
This is the unseelie court.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Okay.
But I don't... I like some classic stuff and some stuff that's like, good and all that. But I just like reading fun things that I enjoy reading, honestly. And I would say I also really enjoy baking. I don't do it as much as I would like to, but I do really enjoy it. Do you want to go back and forth on these? Do you want to talk about your hobbies next,
I mean, we can. I was just going to get them all out.
Okay.
I wish I had hobbies.
See, that's kind of how
I feel like I
feel.
only podcast.
Yeah.
But in another life, I obviously, I collect comic books.
Mm-hmm.
And I play video games. This is not going well.
You're like, what do I do?
This is sad. How about, let's do this. Favorite comic book, favorite stuff. My favorite comic book is probably Daredevil, although I shudder to admit that I probably have not read it regularly in over 5 years. I don't even know what's going on in Daredevil right now, but historically it's my favorite. I like lots of different kinds of video games, but because I do a lot of podcasting, I can't focus. I like to play games that I can play with one eye while I'm listening to see if the audio is good.
Right.
So I've been playing a lot of like roguelikes and twitchy video games. In the past, I've enjoyed like deep, role-playing games with conversations, but usually it's just like X, get to the next part. Metal Gear Solid is probably my favorite video game series of all time. Music. Oh, music.
Music.
We haven't talked about that.
Music.
My favorite movie? You have a favorite movie?
See, I agonized over these questions because when I was younger, I knew the answer to all of them.
But isn't it just an effect of getting older that it's like you experience more? How could I possibly choose?
I think so. And then when I was younger, I watched movies on repetitively, and it was
I'm going to my
ones.
Letterboxd right now to see if I've got a favorite movie because I don't even know.
Your Letterbox?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's at letterbox.com/craft a service.
Okay. All right.
You said that just sounded like beep beep boop to you. You have no idea what I said.
I know. So here are a couple of my favorite movies. My favorite Marvel movie is Captain America: Winter Soldier, and honestly, it's just a pretty dang good movie all around, I think. And just love it. There's a lot of things going on. I love Cap. I love Black Widow. and Winter Soldier. Everything is awesome. Falcon. Yeah. It's just, I love the drama of it, the politics. Clueless, one of my all-time favorite movies. Still one of my all-time favorite movies. And My Neighbor Totoro has a very special place in my heart. It is my favorite Studio Ghibli film. And I know that it's not everybody's favorite, and that's fine. But I saw it when I was in Japan. I had one of my host families when I was in high school showed it to me in Japanese, and there was no subtitles, but I could still kind of follow along. And I was in love with Totoro like right away. I absolutely love it.
My letterbox is a disaster.
Oh no.
God, this looks like a stringer for Birth Movies Death. You know what I'm talking about?
What?
Some of these ratings. Really? The Dark Knight is 5 stars? I don't think so.
Oh, you don't?
I don't want to be... Look, it's a good movie, but I don't want to be seen as a person who would give The Dark Knight 5 stars.
I understand.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love Jaws. That's one of the best movies ever made.
Really?
For what it is. But also, I don't want to give a Spielberg movie 5 stars. Because I don't respect Spielberg as much as I did. We used to do, when we used to, and by used to, I don't mean like we don't do it anymore. Mostly it's just because we haven't been able to see other human beings for 2 years. But when we went to cons and interviewed people for the program, I'd have an icebreaker question that I would pose to people. And I would always ask them, Die Hard or RoboCop? And you would just watch the beads of sweat form on a person's face. It doesn't matter who they are. Mm-hmm. So I guess...
That's an excellent question.
I would posit that's the answer to the question. Another question. Is it Die Hard or RoboCop?
Typical. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
That's for you to say.
For music, also really hard. But I would say, I love Garbage, like, a lot. The band Garbage. They're way, way, way up there. I also really like Lizzo. She's amazing, and she was where we are for a while. So I got to see quite a few shows with her before she moved out to LA. And honestly, I grew up with the Beatles. They're one of my favorites.
That's right. I've seen a Lizzo show. I forgot about that.
What was that?
I forgot that I've seen a Lizzo show. Not that it was forgettable, just that, forgot about that.
She's like a bigger deal now.
Well, there's not a lot of acts that I can say like, oh yeah, well, she just played flute. It's pretty cool, but yeah. Oh no, yeah, that's fine.
Oh no, I saw there. Yeah, I was there.
I feel like I don't listen to music anymore because
I know
my ears are spoken for, and I that's terrible. Like I feel like if I, if a certain kind of EMP hit Earth tomorrow, if a solar prominence hit Earth and wiped out everything except for music, and I could only listen to music, and I couldn't work on podcasts or watch YouTube videos, I would probably listen to a lot of music.
Yeah.
And when I find myself in situations where, for whatever reason, there is nothing I can do, and I can only listen to music, I'm really happy. And then I forget how happy it makes me, and I go back to not listening to music. I used to listen to a lot of music.
I did too, and it does make me happier, so I really should do it more. I'm just so frustrated. I hate iTunes. Screw you, Apple, for iTunes.
Not loving iTunes.
No.
So that being said, what are some things that I have enjoyed recently? Let's go with that. Oh, like historically, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I like a lot of 90s music because of...
Why is that bad?
Because it's not,
I like 90s music
it's
too.
Cheesy. But I like classic rock, which again, just like... Here's a 3-second flash of my face. All right, now tell me all the music. You would get it right. But recent stuff, I really like... I thought Lil Nas X's most recent album was really, really good.
Okay.
And really surprising. It's weird that, like, you think about how somebody like Lizzo can, make music probably on the internet or just on a small label until somebody discovers her, and then she rightly becomes like a superstar.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with a lot of people in the internet age. Like Lil Nas X just is making little songs and beats and stuff like that, and then he does a remix with a cowboy with a country guy.
Yeah.
And so he's the biggest guy on earth. And that it would be easy to Soldier Boy that.
Yes.
Not to Superman that hoe, but to flame out and disappear. And Lil Nas X is just keeps going up to the moon.
Yeah.
I like Billie Eilish.
I do too.
But not in a creepy, like middle-aged, like, oh, she's pretty good. She's pretty good. Which is to say that, like, I like her thing, but I can see her thing getting old if it continues. Her new album is, it's a little different than her first album, which I like better.
Okay.
But not quite the. She's kind of doing like one thing, and I hope that she sort of expands into doing more than that. And how about one more?
One more? Okay, go for it.
Just keeping it in the a middle-aged white person likes this. But I like Run the Jewels, the rap group, a lot.
Yeah, they're awesome.
There's something about them that's really funny because these two middle-aged kind of fat guys who are like rapping, and they're rapping about all the things that I'm mad about as well, which is really like what we look for in art, right?
Yes.
But normally, I love Nelly, right? But Nelly is rapping about things that I will never experience.
Lots
how much
of money,
fun he is having,
fun cars,
in the Ford with the Goldies and all that, and that's great to like live that vicariously. But like, Killer Mike and LP come on and they're like, they're already out of breath, and they're just rapping about how horrible the world is, and all the people, all the companies need to die, and all the politicians are terrible. And I'm like, yeah, it's good. I like that.
It's really good. I love their latest stuff. That's really awesome.
And one more, I like King Princess as well.
I don't know if I'm familiar with them.
They are a young performer. I think
Okay.
they're only 22 or 23,
Okay.
but they make like really kind of groovy, like indie pop, sort of like funk.
Okay, cool. I'll have to check them out. I have one more that I'd like to add that's kind of newer-ish, but maybe, I don't know. I really like Sufjan Stevens, and a white girl like Sufjan Stevens. Oh my god,
I know.
I'm so predictable.
Maybe this is why I don't talk about my music too.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, I like Van Halen. I do like Van Halen.
Yeah, well, they're fun, so And I guess I didn't say anything about video games, and that's because I'm very unskilled at video games. And Cal can tell you all about that because I move with a controller. So I guess
you come. I don't want to age you.
I won't stop you.
So I won't dry your skin or make you smoke. What are things that age you?
Being out in the sun.
Yeah, I won't leave you out in the sun with a cigar.
All right.
But you come from there is a literacy that you have to play a video game.
Yeah.
And they get more complicated.
It's another language.
If you stand in front of a Pac-Man cabinet, you get it. The stick's like, oh, the guy goes up, it goes down. Stay away from the ghosts. Mm-hmm. But there's games are complicated now.
I know.
And there is a certain like literacy that comes. You think about. You were telling me about the YouTube video you watched the other day where the little kid is sleeping in the dog kennel, and the dog's mad because the kid won't get out of the kennel.
Right.
And the kid's like 2.5, and he's watching Baby Shark on an iPad, and he's going boop boop, and he's touching the thing. Kids who are babies today, what will be adults, in 20 years, they'll live in a Ready Player One cyber age.
I know.
Like they will understand all this.
Yeah.
But you come like just before the point where it would be weird if you didn't
know how to play
video games.
Yeah.
If you were a little bit younger, you would have had definitely a GameCube, maybe a Wii, in your house, and you would. Your parents would have just got it because it's like, well, this is what a successful American family has, right? And like that was fairly recently that point where a game machine would just be in your house, and
right.
I'm not like a hardcore gamer,
right?
And we're seeing the effects of that, of course, in gaming and gamers now is that like you've got all these like, you know, men that are my age who are like, you can't be a gamer because, oh, you like Stardew Valley, it's a game.
Right.
But it's like, whatever, they're all going to die soon. But yeah, but there's a threshold that we went over where it's like, no, I've like, yeah, in addition to watching Sailor Moon or whatever the current cartoon is and eating chips, you know, at my girlfriend's house, we also, you know, played Halo or, you know, whatever it is. We'd just throw on a video game.
Well, see, but I had friends who, you know, played video. I remember going over to a friend's house.
So you're not too old. No. You're on the other side of it. You just resisted picking it up.
I was bad at it.
Yeah, but nobody's good at it.
No. Listen to me. Mario Kart, right? Pretty easy, right? In theory.
Depends. That's a big depends.
I ended up just like, I hated going over to my friend's house when they're like, oh, let's play Mario Kart. I'm like, oh, God, I'm going to have to watch
exactly what I was describing.
them like play for hours because I play and I die or I get frustrated or, you know. And every time I tried to play regular Super Mario Brothers, I just, you know, died instantly. And so I just gave up. I didn't try to get better. So my favorite video game has to be Sailor Drops.
Well, too bad for you.
I know. I'm very sad. No, but I did get a new game for the holidays from Cal, and it's called Sakuna, and it's I'm doing okay.
It is a Japanese mythology game in the vein of an Okami or something like that. And it is half next-gen side-scroller, half farming simulation game.
Yes.
So it's like, dear Jesus and baby Santa Claus, please give me a game that Mika and Hana will like, has an outside chance of enjoying.
I know. So I'm trying, and so far it's going okay. But there have been some in the tutorial. It's a little hard. So for me, she throws her sash, and I'm like, oh man, that took forever. That took forever to get that down.
But the thing is that it is ostensibly, I mean, it's not necessarily for kids, but I think it would appeal to kids.
Yeah.
And so they have this tutorial that's like, okay, you know, here's how you do this. Maybe you're unfamiliar with how to do this. But the tutorial doesn't contain the basic literacy of moving a character around on screen that they're assuming the 9-year-old that picks this thing up will have.
9-year-olds
so you are
would.
remedial.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like the person that like was raised by wolves, and then you know they've put a dress on you, and they're like, okay, English. Oof. Let's start up Sesame Street, but not like cool HBO Sesame Street.
No,
we got to go back to like, you know, Gordon and like 70s Sesame Street. We got to start on the beginning stuff.
Oh my gosh, it's like, okay, Mika, this is a controller.
Where's Mr. Hooper?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I think we answered all of the hobby questions.
So. It took like an hour.
So all right. This question is from Noel. Has Caliban seen Revolutionary Girl Utena yet? And if not, are there any plans for him to do so once done with Sailor Moon?
All right. So I have seen it. I've seen it with my eyes.
Yes.
I have not watched all of it.
No.
But I have seen it. So that answers that. Plans for him to do so. Yeah, I'm not purposefully waiting to watch it until I'm done with Sailor Moon. But, you know, I mean, we watch a lot of stuff, and I rarely get to watch stuff because I want to.
Yeah.
Case in point, I had to watch the new movie Cyrano last night, and I did not enjoy it.
I'm so sorry.
And I would have much rather watched something else. So I am trying to, you know, at this point we're on the back half. I mean, 100 episodes is not, it's still a lot of episodes.
Right.
So I'm sure I'll probably watch more of it. And, you know, who knows? I don't want to try to monetize everything that we do or make or content everything that we do. But maybe if people are interested, we could, you know, have another Patreon thing or just something that we stick up on on the feed or something, my reactions to it, you know.
Sure.
I mean, it's only 30 something episodes, so it'd be hard to do an entire podcast out of, but definitely like a side thing.
We did talk about it on Animetification
Yeah, we
recently.
covered it recently on Animetification.
Which is one of our Patreon shows, I should mention.
I'm thinking about it a lot. I've been thinking about it so much that I probably should just start watching it.
Well, I would like to watch it with you.
Well, see, that's another reason that we both have to schedule a time to see it.
To do it. Podcasting takes up a lot of time. Just
No one has that. Keep podcasting, podcast monkey.
Yeah, right.
42 Gami asks me, what was your inspiration for creating Just Enough Trope? And do you have any fears or angst about this venture before you started the journey? It's a question in two parts. Here's an answer in two parts. I came up with the idea for Just Enough Trope over 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. It's probably around the time that we first met. Mm-hmm. And I was working. I was in a play at the Guthrie Theater, which is a big theater here in town. And we used to do like 3 shows a day.
Yeah, it was a lot.
We were doing a play called The Christmas Carol, mm-hmm. which is a Christmas, everyone knows Christmas Carol. And we do it, November and December. And because it's good times for all, we would often do school shows, right?
Sure.
So you get the kids
matinee.
in the bus, ship them in, and then we do, and early ones. So you get the kids in the bus at 8 a.m. We do a 10 o'clock curtain, do the show. Then later on, if it's the weekend, we would do a matinee show in the afternoon. That's about around 3 or 4. And then we do an evening show at like 8.
Thinking back,
We do 16-hour days.
I don't know how you did that.
Because the union protects actors, but does make allowances for what they call 10 out of 12s when we do like 12-hour days. You're 10 hours on for a 12-hour day. So anyway, the reason I bring that up is because while I was doing this, I was meeting all these other actors and a lot of actors who were inspirations to me growing up, going to Guthrie Theater shows as a child. Mm-hmm. And I was just feeling creative, and I was feeling like, I need to do something. Now, this is like pre-podcasting. They probably existed, but podcasts were not really a thing. Mm-hmm. And so I was thinking about like a blog, a culture blog about pop culture. And I don't look for it. You're not going to find it. I think I took care of it. Took it out back behind the shed and put it down. But I had a blog for a while, and I was like, what's the blog going to be called? And I thought like, it's got to be something clever. So, and apparently I was having dark thoughts, but I came up with Just Enough Trope.
Why is that dark thoughts? Because of Just Enough Rope?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it was edgy. Uh-huh. And so I never really the blog didn't really go anywhere, but I had the property still mm-hmm. and the trademark. And so when we came up with an idea to start the podcast, I thought, well, that's what we're talking about, media and tropes in media and pop culture. And so that is a good possibly name for a podcast mm-hmm. and for the sort of umbrella corporation that all the things are sort of under. And so that's the story of that. And as far as fears or angst, not really. Kind of.
Yeah.
You always worry that it's going to be accepted well.
Of course.
And I don't think that I'm a super like outgoing person who doesn't have any insecurities, but just I think when I first did like interviews both online and in person, mm-hmm. Whatever that thing that you have where you go, well, it doesn't matter that I'm afraid or reluctant. I have to do this. Mm-hmm. Whatever that is in your life. And for me, it was, I got that with theater, like with acting.
Yeah, for sure.
When I'd been acting since I was a kid, but when I chose it as my field of study in college, mm-hmm. I decided like, I'm just going to volunteer for everything. I'm going to be the person who brute forces this. And sure. I'm the first volunteer. I'm the first person to get up and do my scene or whatever, and I'm just going to be that person. And I'm going to fail publicly until I stop failing, or I just don't care that I'm failing still. And so it was a bit of a shift, but as soon as I started this, you know, at first you're like, well, maybe I'll just do this, or excuse me, can I have an interview or something? And it was just like, no, I'm going to take that thing and just move it up, and now it's that. And so we're just going to go up, and we're just going to do things, and we're going to talk to that person and email that person. And every day I still, you know, you have it a little bit.
Yeah.
You have a little bit of fear and reluctance. I'm just getting ready. I took a long break from the Star Trek show because I'm, truth be told, getting a little burned out on the Star Trek show. But I needed to contact people so we can get some shows booked for this year, which we haven't done yet. And this is the 7th time that I've done that. This is the 7th year the show's been on.
Right.
And I sit down still and I'm like, these people don't want to hear from me. They don't care what I have to say. They're going to, why is this guy bothering me?
You always feel like you're inconveniencing them.
And I finally just, you know, chained myself to my desk and sent out, you know, a dozen invitation or interview requests. And immediately a flood of things came in. Yeah. People know me. They like talking to me. Famous authors. I'm not bragging. I'm just giving you a success story here.
Yeah.
People who, every time I talk to them, I'm like, I can't believe this person is talking to me. Why would they talk to me? And they're getting back to me right away because I had the courage, or the determination at least, to create a relationship with them. And then also, you know, be nice and be good at what I do. And they're like, absolutely, I would talk to this person. I love talking to them. It's like you think that you would remember a success like that. You know, you would remember talking to somebody and then having a good time and like, let's do that a million more times. Right. But you get away from it long enough and you're like, it becomes a thing again where you're like, oh boy,
here we go again.
They're all going to laugh at you.
Right.
I think Adam Sandler's, one of his albums is called.
Well, it's like, you know, auditioning for a play. You know, you have to do it if you're going to get into a play. And
I got real good at that.
Yeah.
I'm the person that everybody hates at an audition. Okay. Because it's not
nerve-wracking for you?
I just don't worry about it.
That's great.
I mean,
I always was a little nervous.
Sure, and that's a normal thing to be. But I'm the guy that comes in and is like, hey, so-and-so. Because it's fun to go to auditions because you see people that you have not seen in a while. Yeah. But you're all in the same community. And they are working on some other shows, so you don't get to hang out with them. But we all have to come to auditions. Yes. And so I'm the person that's like, oh man, did you see Guardians of the Galaxy is so good. And I'm like chatting and everybody else is like, I'm trying to read these lines. I need to sit here and vibrate and stare at the wall. Right. And I'm like, that's just not what it is for me. It's a time to have fun.
Well, I just always felt like other people, like, you know, they saw me as competition, so they didn't want to talk to me
You were absolutely competing with them.
I know.
And they would step over your body to get into the audition room. Yes. But I don't have to live that life.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not about that.
I mean, I think good on you. And that's awesome. But it does take, I feel like even though you got good at it and you were used to it, it does take like a certain amount of
It's something that you have to get back into every day. Yeah. It's like jumping into cold water. Yeah. It's cold at first and then you don't notice after a while.
Well, and it's like, if I want to be in this show, I have to audition. I have to go through this process.
Or you could just know the director.
You had experience with that. I had not had experience with that, but that's okay.
You could just be invited to return to this year's production of...
Well, yeah, I never had that either, but
that's not
just
true.
Just rubbing that in.
That's not totally true. You have been invited this year to participate.
Yes, that is true.
At Convergence.
Mm-hmm. I'm very excited about that. We are
to be told how wrong all your anime opinions are.
I'm sure. I know.
It's the same thing. Yes. It's the same thing because we do a lot of panels and we talk to other professionals, you know, about stuff. And some of the professionals, I want to be half of them are fine with it. The other half, I understand like social anxiety. I understand, you know, public speaking fear. But the other half like take it way too seriously and they're all locked up. And I'd much rather be a person that's like, oh, I haven't seen so-and-so in the dog's age. Oh, what's going on? And I'd rather be that person and try to get the people who are clearly very nervous and are shuffling their index cards. It's like, put the cards down. You know this stuff. Don't worry about it.
I know. I'd rather be like that too. I just like, it's hard because like, I feel like, oh, we had a great time on this panel. I feel like we've bonded. And then I'm lucky if they even recognize me or say hi to me. I don't know. Or
You're
like,
in it to make friends.
I shouldn't be. It's hard to make friends as an adult. Anyways, boo-hoo, single tear
Nobody
for
asked you
me.
that.
I know. So
Oh, wait. Peachy, is it hard to make friends as an adult? Okay, sorry.
Stop. 42 Gami has a question for me. Have you considered writing your experience of living and learning abroad in Japan into a book or something similar? Without thinking twice, what is the title of your book that jumps out at you right away if you were to write it? Well, I did actually write a play about it for my senior project. So I already did it. And it was called I My, which means love dance. And I was rhyming even then. No, it was okay. It was all right, but it was pretty self-indulgent, and I shan't be sharing it. It's not like a masterpiece by any means, but there's a lot of other stuff that happened while I was in Japan, and
Everything starts somewhere.
Yeah.
When you see a movie and it's like, oh, based on a play by blah, 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 and it's called Everybody's, Got a Butt or whatever. And then sometimes you read that play and you're like, it's a good thing this is a movie.
Yeah, I know.
But that has to cut off somewhere because that play was probably a short scene or something. Somebody could take an idea. The guy that does The Tick, which I love The Tick, but like the guy that does The Tick has been doing The Tick for almost 35 years now.
Yeah.
And so there must be, sure, there's the early black and white comic Tick that was the start of it all, but there must be like Tick flip books, or whatever, or like Tick scribbles in the margins of something.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Who was the guy that we interviewed who does the Confessions show?
I have no idea.
Dave
Show?
Nadelberg.
Okay.
Is that his name?
That sounds very familiar. I'm going to say that is definitely somebody that we interviewed. And you're probably right, is what I'm
Dave
guessing.
Nadelberg. It's called Mortified.
Oh!
We'll give him a plug. GetMortified.com.
Yeah. Mortified.
Now, the problem with his... he did a TV show and a movie, but he does mostly live shows. And the problem with that is can't do live
do it
shows.
right now.
Maybe you're doing them now with vaccines and stuff. But his whole thing was about like fail, and we want to see your failures. And so he would have famous people read their earliest work, or even just invite audience members and volunteers to write like to show their worst thing that they'd ever done. And so
I'm not saying this was my worst thing I've ever done,
but would you do this at a Mortified?
I don't know, man. That was like, it was so long ago. I'm in a different headspace now, completely different headspace. I don't know. I mean, I think it was kind of partially like therapy for me too. I think like writing therapy. I'd really have to think about it if I was going to share it at a Mortified. I'd have to be in like the right space. I'd have to find the right passage.
I promised him that I would do my Transformers fanfic.
When I was 10
years old, if he ever came back into town.
I bet that's actually pretty good, though.
No.
No?
No, it's not. I used to bind books.
Yeah.
Don't get excited. It's not that great. But you just take tag board and some crappy fabric.
Yeah.
And glue it together. And so I would make little books, and then I would write, in the books, what the Transformers story was.
Okay.
And
I think it's cute.
Books.
What was it about?
The Transformers are just fighting the evil Decepticons.
Okay. All right. Give me your face.
Yeah, they're just giving each other faces. Peachy asks, do you guys have pets? No.
No, we don't.
No.
The closest that I have to having my own pet is we have a good friend who has a cat. He has a lot of personality. He's a black cat with long hair and a tiny little nub of a tail that he wags sometimes. And he's a very, very vocal cat. And he's fantastic. And I love him so much and his personality. And cat sit for him sometimes. So that's the closest I have.
Wears little costumes.
He wears little costumes. He tolerates them. She likes putting him in a Star Wars sweater. He gets cold sometimes, so he's like, oh, whatever, I guess I'm wearing this now. But yeah, I mean, love to get a cat someday.
Yeah.
So,
Don't have cats, or I've always had cats when I was growing up, and I love cats, and they love me.
You're the cat whisperer.
Look, man, I just know how to talk to cats.
I know.
Whisper to them. That's how you do it. I'd love to have a cat, and it's just been year after year. It's been, well, when I get more settled. And it's been 15 years if I'm not settled now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe I should think about getting a cat. But you just want to get the perfect cat. Do you know what I mean?
You want to get a cat that, like, yes, I do.
I would imagine it's similar to a kid. What if my kid's a dick? Right? But since they're a human being,
yeah,
they have rights and stuff, and you love them.
Yeah.
I'd hate to get a cat and just want to love the cat, and the cat is a dick.
When
I was growing up, my cat was a dick, and we loved her, and we did everything for her, but she was a real dick.
Your poor mom has not had luck with cats.
No, and my mom has always wanted a cat, too. She had a series of, this is off the page, she had a series of weird pets when she was growing up. They had a duck for a pet. They had a squirrel for a pet. And she had a dog who was like preternaturally intelligent. Like he could almost talk. He was like the smartest dog ever, the way that she told it.
Huh.
They accidentally left him at a camping site when she was young. She was 8 or 9. And this was like 300 miles away from their house. And it was also like the 50s or maybe the early 60s. And so they weren't going back. The dad's like, well, it's just, he's a dog of the woods now.
Oh my God.
And they're like devastated. 2 weeks later, scratch, 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 scratch. Dog found his way home.
That's crazy.
Yeah. In fact, I gotta fact check that story. That's a crazy story.
You're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, wait. What else did you lie about, Mom? But then after that, I moved out and I got 2 cats, 2 brothers, and they were, I can't remember exactly what breed it was. I actually know what breed it was, but I don't want to get into it. And I would love to replicate that experience because they were like the ultimate, they think they're people cats. Do you know what I mean?
It.
They were just they were talkative and they were
Yes.
cuddly and were only naughty every once in a while. One of them loved to eat tennis shoes. So, and tennis shoelaces for sure. So whenever you put your shoes on, it's like, God damn it. But it was worth it because they were so nice. But nothing since then.
Occasionally naughty is okay. I have a friend who has a cat that she's had for like maybe a year and a half or so. And he's really, really sweet, but he is such a naughty cat. He will put anything in his mouth. She's had to bring him in for emergency surgery like at least once, if not twice, because he swallowed a toy and like that he wasn't supposed to swallow. She woke up in the middle of the night because she heard there was a crash and like he had knocked a vase off of like her refrigerator or something. So she had
Was there anything in the vase?
Yeah, there were flowers, and she'd come home and somebody gave her flowers, I think, and she found out after she got home that they were bad for cats. So she put them up high thinking, oh, he won't get to them up there.
This is a rookie cat owner move.
She's not, though. And she like trains him and stuff like that, but he's
I'm on the cat side. I'd like to see this training.
Okay. It's like clicker training with like treats and stuff like that.
I'm with the cat.
Okay, but like recently
You knocked that vase. You knock it off.
Recently he got into the trash can in the middle of the night, and he knocked the trash can over and like ate like a toy that was like broken in there and everything. And she's like, I don't know how long ago it happened. We're just gonna watch and hopefully it'll pass.
We need Jackson Galaxy for this.
Yeah. I had a dog growing up. I had a Lhasa Apso. And while we had her, my dad became allergic to anything with fur because of the dander. So We kept her, but that was the end of furry animals for me. I had some goldfish. They're not as much fun. But yeah, I really would like to have a cat at some point. So,
is there anything smaller, like a chinchilla or something like that?
Chinchillas are cute, but they have big cages though.
Yeah, that's not a big deal.
Yeah. They're nocturnal though.
Well, this cat's eating the trash in the middle of the night. That's what I liked about my cats, is that they wanted us to go to bed early.
Right.
As soon as the sun went down, they're like, let's just go over here. Come on, let's go. And they would just hang around until we got into bed. And then when we got into bed, they would sleep on our pillows and put their little foreheads against our foreheads and just go. So it's like, okay, all right.
Going to sleep now.
It's like you love me or something.
So 42 Gami asks, what are your hobbies or dreams outside of work? And what career highlights are you most proud of? So we kind of covered hobbies already, but I guess dreams outside of work? I don't really know, honestly. Just would like the podcast to have more listeners, more fans, grow the Patreon, and kind of do new things, like explore new things. And I do enjoy pushing my limits, and like I learned a lot about doing social media from this podcast, and I feel like I'm continuing to learn and getting better, so I want to do more stuff like that.
Is that all work stuff?
Yeah. I guess you're right, that is all work stuff. Dreams outside of work.
I'm all alone. I'm rolling this big donut and a snake wearing a vest.
Here's my dream outside of work. To have time off is my dream outside of work. And gosh, I think they're all related to work.
But you have hobbies.
Yeah, but like you were talking about before, I'd like to do more baking. I don't know. This is what you were talking about before. Do I have hobbies? I had a friend.
Thank you for asking these questions. This is exposed a problem that we have.
Well, I had a friend in college who was like, I gotta find more hobbies. And I was like, what the heck are you talking about? And it's like, oh, I understand. I feel the same way. I mean, what about you? Hobbies or dreams outside of work?
I would like to travel more.
Oh, yes.
That's
good point. Love to go to Japan more.
That's such a stock answer. And the reason that I say it, even though I have an allergy to being conventional, is because I don't have a desire to travel all that much. So it's not like I want to do something that I don't want to do, but I know how regret works. And I'm afraid that once I'm too old to go and do fun things, I won't be able to do them and then go, well, once again, I guess I don't know if they would have been all that fun or not, but I will regret not having done them. Yeah. And I think that in the sort of first part of my vocational life, when I was on that grind set, I thought, I'm working too hard to do this kind of stuff, or I can't afford it or whatever. And now that I'm in sort of like the creative part of my work life, it's worse almost. I feel like I can never step away because now there's a social element and I need to produce every day. And the fact of the matter is, at any point in these intervening years, I could have taken 2 weeks vacation and gone and done something, and I probably could have afforded it. That wouldn't have been a problem. And so I'm the kind of person that, here's a video game thing for you. I'm the person that finishes the game with 1,000 potions because I never took one because I was like, what if I need it later? And it's like, I need to start drinking them potions. That's my advice to you. Yeah. Drink them potions. Yeah.
Sure,
you might get caught outside of a boss room with only 1 potion because you drank them all. But you can always reload from an earlier save. And this is where the comparison to life kind of breaks down.
Right. Well, I was going to say also, like, Resident Evil, make sure you save. Like, do I need to save now? Probably
That's
should
the
have
opposite
saved.
of what I'm talking about.
Okay, all right.
Oh, I don't have a ribbon because I used my ribbon before.
Right.
You'll have plenty of ribbons in life. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I guess just, like, take more chances. That sounds like a stock answer, too.
All right. What a dream.
I need more dreams.
What about your career highlights?
I really struggle with this. For Justin of Trope, one of the things that I've really enjoyed that we have done over the years is we've done some really fun skits, which Cal has written, and those have been...
Well, we wrote some of them together.
Well, a little bit. And those have been really fun. Also, like, some of the commercials that we've done, similarly, where you've done the script, that's been a lot of fun as well. I think also just starting this podcast and exploring, Sailor Moon on a deeper level has just been really fun. And I really do enjoy doing Kero Kero Miro because I learn a lot of stuff too. And it's just really interesting most of the time. So
yeah.
How about you?
It's so it's hard to quantify. It's hard to answer. Yeah. 'Cause highlights is something specific, right? I mean, yeah. I'm proud of all the work that we do all the time, and I very rarely half-ass it. I know when I'm half-assing it, and I am allergic to that feeling, so I very rarely try to half-ass it.
No, you use your whole ass. So
yeah, you got to put the whole ass on.
Yeah.
So I guess if like career highlights, maybe some of the big interviews that I've done or the people I've talked to. I won't like name drop, but I will in one case because it has to do with. Here you go. Here's a specific anecdote that feels like a highlight to me.
Okay.
So I think it was like 2017. I think we went to Emerald City Comic Con. Mm-hmm. Had a bunch of interviews lined up, and. Okay. I've got a second story, but I'll do two. We had a bunch of interviews lined up, and that was just a really good year. Like we talked to there are people who might not be famous or recognizable to you outside of comics, but I feel like we were really well received. We did a lot of video content that year as well.
Yep.
And there was a couple people that we talked to who were. Sometimes you talk to somebody and they either aren't interested in talking to you and they can't remember why they even agreed to it.
Right.
And there's people whose time is managed. Like I can't remember her name now. Maybe you remember it, but we talked to a very famous artist.
I can't remember her name either, but I know who you're talking about. Who
produces a lot of stuff that you've probably seen if you've been to a con. And she's
a Sailor Moon fan.
Yeah. And we talked to her about Sailor Moon a little, even though we hadn't done the show at that point. Mm-hmm. And I remember that we talked to her and her assistant was right there and was like timing the entire thing. And so 2 minutes. Yeah. So we were really under a time crunch, but we handled it really well and we got out of there and it was a very pleasant interview. And
she was very gracious with her time too.
Yeah. And we never,
gosh, I can't remember her name.
Yeah, I can't remember it either, which is not great, but it's been years. Yeah. And we extracted something of a promise for her to be on the show later, but we never got to follow up with that. Bad end of that story.
I think that was actually 2016.
Okay, there you go. But the main thing is that my big fish that year that I wanted to hook was talking to Sam Humphries, who's a comic writer.
Yes.
And he had written a lot of things then, and he's written a lot of stuff now. And we had met him before because he had done a signing. He has some connection to where we live, but he had done a signing at a comic shop, and we had like made kind of a connection with him. And I thought, this is it. We could like talk to this guy there.
Right.
And he was had just launched a couple different comics and was coming up, so it was a good time to talk to him as well. And I remember we had found out that he was it Boom Studios.
I think so.
That he was going to be at this party, which we didn't know when we had heard about it that it was an industry party. Like it was.
Right.
It was basically for people who worked for, drew or wrote or managed for Boom. So we went to this like really swanky hotel, to the roof bar at this swanky hotel, and got in there and realized, oh, this is like an industry event.
Mm-hmm.
And not only are we not writers or artists for this company, but we're press, which is like the last people that they would want at this thing. And it was one of those moments where I just went, give me a $10 vodka drink, and we're crashing this party. And we crashed this party and ate all of their fancy cheese. And then I also made a couple more interview appointments. Like I schmoozed with the people. We talked to this one comic writer who's like a kind of legend in the industry, and set up a thing with him to talk later. And the whole time, Humphreys never showed at the party.
Yes.
But he's young. And he was at another party. He was pre-partying somewhere else. And you kept saying like, well, I think we've talked to everybody. It's probably all the cheese is gone. I probably should go. And I'm like, wait for it. We got to wait for it. I know this is going to happen. So finally it's like 11:30 p.m. or something like that. And we're like, all right, we're going to go. And we went out to the lobby, and coming out of the elevators was Sam and his entourage. And right then we could have just been like, oh, that's funny. But I was like, Humphreys, what's up? And he's like, oh, you're the guy from the thing. And I'm like, yeah, it's a crazy night. We got to do that interview. And he's like, yeah, when do you want to do it? I'm like, how about now? He looks at me like, no. And I'm like, just kidding. But he's like, yeah, we'll do it tomorrow. So we met him that next day, and totally randomly, the place that we met him on like this central area where they had this huge setup and like a red carpet. So we ended up like interviewing him on this like red carpet, basically with this great backdrop.
Yes.
Like it was like a super professional sort of interview. And the interview went great. We went like 25 minutes, and he could not stop talking about all this stuff. And I knew about when he worked at AOL. Like I'd done my research on him, and he was really impressed with all the research. And I'm amazed we haven't talked to him again, because he definitely would talk to us again. But of course, we haven't been to any events.
I thought of something. We went to, help me with the name. There was a con that was local for a couple years and was started by the Brothers Green. It was an author's con.
NerdCon Stories.
NerdCon Stories. And the first year we went and we set up a bunch of interviews. And I was really nervous because usually you're the one doing the interviewing, but I like prepped questions and everything. And I got to interview Holly Black, who is I really like her stuff. She does
the Spiderwick Chronicles,
fairy books.
Well, yeah.
And like Tithe. And I was so excited to interview her, and I think we ran into her earlier, and I was like, oh my God, I think I scared her a little bit. But the interview, I feel like, went really well. And we interviewed a couple other people, and
those interviews are great too, because they had a place that you could go to do them.
Yes.
And sorry, Green Brothers, but the con was kind of lame. So I think a lot of people had a lot of free time.
We had a lot.
So a lot of the authors were just like, let's do an hour. Let's just talk about whatever.
And it was great. And like one of my other favorite interviews that I did was with Nayla Hopkinson.
Yeah.
And who is somebody who's written so much, and she's done comics and stuff like that. And I don't even remember how we started talking about it, but somehow we were talking about Blade.
Yeah, she loves Blade.
And it was amazing. This woman who is an accomplished author, is quite a bit is older but respected and everything, and she is just geeking out about Blade. It was amazing. And the sad thing was that the audio sucked on a lot of those interviews, so we never ended up posting them. But I think you were able to like salvage the script. I think you like typed up the script for a lot of
Well, we
them.
did. I turned some of them into print interviews.
That's right.
And then the cool thing about that was I was able to go back to those people and say, we had a great talk. Unfortunately, the audio wasn't so great, but can you clarify on this? And I've got some more questions, and I was able to sort of fill them out into proper print interviews.
Speaking, I wanted reminded me somebody else we interviewed for that was author Stephen Bruce, and I think you interviewed him. But I just finished reading Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman, and Stephen Bruce was one of his readers for that.
Sure.
He got thanked in the back. I was like, Stephen Bruce.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. So, okay. Yeah. I can do interviews. I just need to believe in myself. I just need to get over it and do it.
Maybe you could make that part of your thing.
Maybe I could.
Maybe you could draw on them and make them feel like they need to help you through it. And then you could kind of run a game on them that way.
I don't know. I just get so nervous. Like, oh, you're famous. I don't want to
like a between two ferns kind of thing.
Yeah, right. I don't want to like take up too much of your time and like me feeling
They
awkward.
agreed to do it.
I know.
They agreed to do it. Although I've definitely been in some interviews. We won't say
who. We won't say
any names.
No.
Where the person was professional to the point where I promised you a 10-minute interview. We're doing the interview.
Yeah.
But then that's an opportunity to go hostile on them. So what do you really think about this and this? It's like, you are trapped. This mic is your prison.
Well, they were really rude to us.
Well, I don't think it was rude so much as just like, what am I doing here? But that's on them. And then one other thing I wanted to mention was that I was really proud of and ended up being a lot more poignant than I expected was I had a friend who was a Star Trek author. And we had sort of connected through the podcast.
Yeah.
And I had interviewed him a bunch of times, and just a guy that I just felt like I knew really well. And, every year when I would contact him to set up an interview or have him on the show, it would also turn into like, how you doing? And we'd just have exchanges, and we would, email each other, and felt kind of close to him. And we went to Shore Leave Convention in Maryland, which is a smallish convention, but if you're into like Star Trek books and sci-fi publishing,
it's fun.
It's a con that a lot of authors go to to relax because they know that the small group of fans that like them will be there, and there's a nice bar there, and they hang out with each other, and it's like, I imagine being an author looking at your schedule, you're like, oh, I have to do this. Well, I get to go to Shore Leave next week. That's great.
Right.
And so he was there, and I finally got to meet him in person and talk to him and just enjoy being around him. And then we went to we were in the middle of a panel for something else. It was it was a panel about some other kind of book or something. And I got a text message from him, and he's like, I want you to know, like, my new novel here's the title to my new novel. Here's the synopsis. Any questions for me? And I'm like, I knew that he was working on something, but nobody knew anything about his book. And I was like, yes, tell me this, tell me that, tell me that. And we had this like theory text exchange. And then I said, like, I'm a journalist. Like, can I print any of this? He's like, print whatever you want. So I tweeted out, the announcement. And like all the Star Trek sites like DM'd me and like, is this true? I'm like, I just got off the thing with him. So like I broke the news of the title of his book and the synopsis and the art really and all that. And I was sourced for that. So like I was the source of the information for that.
I remember being in the panel and
I started vibrating.
Well, you were typed up the tweet and you were like blowing up. And it felt like, I don't know if I'm just remembering it but it felt like people in the panel were like retweeting it, or like
everybody's phones like ding, 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 ding.
Maybe I'm just remembering it that way.
Yeah.
But...
And so, and then like, of course, all stories must, it takes a downturn. He died last year of cancer. But before he did, we were also talking about one of his appearances on the show. And I'm like, how you doing? He's like, well, not great. I got this going on, and I've only told, a couple people and you. And so I just, felt terrible. And we talked a few more times before he passed away. But I was just like, the fact that he felt like he, could share that with me. And me not write a big story about it.
Oh, come on. You wouldn't do that.
That just that he trusted me with that. I just, I was really humbled by that. So
he just seemed like he was a really nice guy.
He was.
Too. And that, like, he really seemed to take the time to connect with you.
Yeah.
But it does sound like, like you guys just really got along.
Yeah.
So.
He touched a lot of people.
Yeah.
In his life. All right. Let's talk about the future.
The future.
Think about the future.
The 5 Sailor Guardians.
I can't believe that I've let you destroy that. Robin asks, what do you think will happen in the future of Sailor Moon's anime?
I think it's Sailor Moon S anime.
Oh, Sailor Moon S anime?
Yeah. Or is it Sailor Moon's now I'm second guessing it. I don't know.
Don't rewrite these questions.
What do you think?
Well,
Cal?
they both apply. I guess this is de facto for me. So I have I've talked about what I think is coming up.
Yeah.
We've talked about how it's just, there's a singularity that past which I don't know. I mean, I can speculate on Super S and stars.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's stars. I know that. There's like an evil team of sailors who are also Sailorin or something like that.
I don't know.
You're getting better at this. But I guess as far as Sailor Moon S, and as we found out in the episode we've already watched, but we'll talk about for next week. Maybe we found one of the talismans. We don't know. But I maintain that it's got to be somebody that we don't care about all that much. And then it's got to be somebody really important, and then maybe there's like a twist. Maybe there's we don't really know who it is. This is all very vague. But I think that they'll have to get into high school at some point, or whatever Japanese high school is, right?
Yes.
So they'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
The far future. I mean, they get married at some point. Are they going to get married in the anime?
I don't know.
I know they get married in the live action show.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think maybe they'll get married, Mamoru and Usagi, someday, eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll have to eventually resolve the conflict with the new outer Senshi and kind of get them on board. Because we can't be at each other's throats for the whole rest of the show.
The whole time, yeah.
I'll change it to kind of like what I want to happen.
That's totally fair.
I mean, it's totally possible that it's just, it's plant people. It's people from the future. It's, it's an evil scientist. I mean, we could just go through all the anime tropes of bad guys, but I would like upcoming bad guys to be related more to Sailor Moon's mission. I know they won't be related really to her mythology. We set all that up in the first season, and we're not going to really go back to that all that much, even though it's her entire origin.
I don't know.
Okay,
we'll have to wait and see.
We don't know. So I would like to see that some more. I'd like to see villains that really... That's another thing that I liked about... Oh, no, I guess that was... That's all R. I like R.
I like R, too.
I really like R. I'm not sure that everybody has that opinion. But...
I like the villains of R.
Yeah, I like the villains of R. Both of them.
Yeah. Kaori Naito or Kado Knight, she's just in the anime, she's so far, she's not giving me much.
Well, we'll see what happens. But, so I think that, all that stuff will happen. I think that I think that Usagi will continue to develop as a person, and but never lose her spark.
Yes,
I suppose
that's what makes her Sailor Moon.
Yeah, I still want that. I was gonna say buried child.
What? Sam Shepard play?
Hidden child, the secret child is a child. Who's the child?
Who's the child?
Harry Potter and the cursed child.
Oh, okay.
I want a future where, 'cause somebody look, I know that she doesn't have to work anymore, but Somebody bankrupt the Takeuchis, so she has to go back to work.
That will never happen.
And make a grown-up Sailor Moon.
But I would love that. I would also enjoy that. So yeah.
Sailor Moon Beyond.
I think
we go way into the future.
Yeah.
Mamoru has passed away of an unspecified heart defect. It was very sudden. And Usagi inherits all of his money. And she lives in this old... This is clearly an alternate timeline.
Yeah,
she lives in this old house up on the hill, right? Mm-hmm. And then a young girl named Serena breaks into her house one night. What are you doing here? It's like, I found this locket.
Wait, this sounds like
I said it was Sailor Moon Beyond.
No, but this sounds like the movie Elektra that we just watched.
Oh. That's what I want. Sailor Moon Elektra.
Oh my goodness. So if you want to hear our opinions about the movie Elektra, you can head on over to Just Enough Trope and hear us talk about that.
And much, much more.
Yeah. So 42 Gami asks, taking into consideration the length of time still to go for Sailor Noob, what are your thoughts on incorporating Patreon members into the podcast with you for a segment?
I hadn't thought of that. That might be possible. I tried to think of we have just sort of the rhythm and the way that we work. Mm-hmm. And, the structure of the show is something that we came up with very early.
Yes. And
it has not changed too much as we've gone, but we have added things from time to time when we feel like they fit. Mm-hmm. So that's very possible. I'd be very open to, regular Q&As, a lot of Patreons or patron situations.
Yeah.
Very eloquent. That's why I'm a podcaster. Limit the access to the creators.
Sure.
So it's if you join at the lowest tier or at a certain tier, then you can have an invite code to our Discord or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I never wanted to do anything like that.
No, everybody can join our Discord.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to keep people out or something like that. Talking to other people is part of the fun of it, right? Mm-hmm. So we've got that going, on the Discord. As far as having a segment, it's a possibility, either on Patreon or on the main show. Mm-hmm. But we'll have to kick that around.
Yeah.
Definitely as we get closer to the end of the run of the entire franchise, the entire series, I could see that being a possibility.
Yeah, I could too.
Not just because we're running out of content, but at that point we'll have a bigger picture. I'll personally have a bigger picture. The noob becomes the master,
right?
And then maybe I can pit fight against other acolytes, and
other Moonies. I think you could right now, personally.
Right.
That's what I think.
I'll get estimate on a pit.
Okay, all right, sounds good.
Robin asks, when the podcast ends, will you ever do more Sailor Moon content, like live action, crystals, musical, etc.? Very possibly. I think that it is presumptuous to think that we can go beyond the end of the anime, because that's what the show's about.
Right.
We're already doing live action.
Yes. It's on our Patreon.
Yeah, on the Patreon. Which we do, it's kind of like a miniature version of Sailor Moon. We don't give it the whole Sailor Moon treatment, but it is very similar in structure. So it's possible that we could just, at the end of episode 200 and the last Stars movie is aired or whatever.
There's no Stars movie.
Oh, there's no movie at the end.
No.
Okay. Well, it shows what I know.
It's okay.
We could jump into live action, but we've kind of covered it already.
Yeah.
I am certainly curious about Crystal. Mm-hmm. I'm worried that I won't like it, and I don't want to... Popular metaphor right now.
Okay.
I don't agree with it. I enjoyed the Matrix Resurrections, but I don't want to do a Matrix Resurrections when I did a Matrix trilogy already. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if I don't like Crystal, it's just going to be me complaining about Crystal.
Yeah.
And as far as the musicals go, sign me up.
Yeah.
Once we run out of live action on the Patreon, I'm just thinking about tracking those down and maybe talking about those on the Patreon. So
that'd be great.
As far as once we're out of anime, hard to say. But if you are looking for us talking about live action and possibly musicals or Revolutionary Girl Utena or whatever, I think the Patreon would be the place to look for that kind of stuff.
Yes. 42 Gami asks, what do you think a Sailor Moon Day party would look like if you host one? We could all zoom in.
So as far as I know, Sailor Moon Day is August 6th, I believe, is International Sailor Moon Day. So that's the date we're looking at.
Okay.
What a party would look like, I don't know. How do you have virtual cake?
No. Everybody buy your own cake.
You gotta think. Come on, you gotta think like a millennial here, right? Yeah, you have everybody gets their own treat, and everybody gets their own adult beverage if they want to go that way,
Sure.
or a weird boba tea Japanese beverage. Yeah, and you share that, and then possibly there is a mutual watching of something. There is trading of Sailor Moon trivia, likes and dislikes.
Yes.
I'm always partial to a quiz. It's my background.
Yeah.
I love quizzes with tough questions. What do you got?
Oh, tough questions. You put me on the spot.
No, what do you got for your Sailor Moon Day party?
Oh, I think a quiz would be like a lot of fun because it's, it's like a game. It's a fun thing that you do at a party. Yeah, I could also do like a watch party, and watch something all at once, but we would have to figure out what to watch, Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, would we do like a Twitch stream or would we do like something else where everybody could talk, or do we take turns talking?
When I hear Twitch, I begin to twitch.
Okay.
That's what I think a Sailor Moon Day party would be. I'm interested in this now because there must be videos or pictures of other people celebrating Sailor Moon Day, and I haven't really thought about it. So maybe we can get some ideas from some Pinterests or something.
I'm sure we can.
People enjoying their Sailor Moon Day.
Well, I'm sure we.
Do you celebrate? Do you do it the eve before? Or
yeah,
do you
right.
do it the morning of.
I mean, you could do something like really fun. You could have like themed food and like send out like recipes, and if people wanted to make the same food or something like that, they could, and it could be like crescent moon sandwiches or something like that. That's maybe a boring version of what it could be, but.
There's so much pink
like
in Sailor Moon that I feel like a lot of these things are going to be confectionery.
Yeah.
You can make Ami cucumber sandwiches. You can do that.
Yes.
You can make Usagi's messy curry.
You could make Mako's perfect bento box with the little octopus sausages.
Yes. You could make...
You can make instant curry! Yes!
Yes. Okay. It's okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and you could do crepes.
Oh, yes.
Once they get a friend from Osaka, you could do okonomiyaki.
Yeah. Well, Naru's last name is Osaka, so
right.
Maybe we could just say that's her favorite. I don't know. I don't know if that's
they're
true
eating okonomiyaki.
Yeah, right. Oh, you could have chocolate parfaits because that's what Naru wanted to do with Nephrite. Let's go get chocolate parfaits.
Oh, that feels like so long ago.
It was
Remember
so long ago.
Remember when she fell in love with that adult villain?
I know.
Who then died in front of her?
I know. That adult villain who was like hundreds of years old.
Remember when Naru was on the show?
Yeah.
Well,
it seems like so long ago.
Yeah. This seems like so long ago we started this show. That was a lot of questions.
It was.
Thank you, everybody, for all of your questions. And I hope that you were entertained and informed by some of our answers. Mm-hmm. And I'd love to do this again.
Yeah, I think it was a lot of fun.
But not anytime soon. No.
We'll wait a little bit.
And maybe we will. I was thinking of the fact that we need a new goal now. And I guess the idea is that you set it higher, right?
Yes.
And so is it crazy to make $100 goal? I
don't think so.
That's doubling the size of the show, essentially. I mean, that's our goal. So maybe we'll have to do that and set a bigger goal, something like $100. And I was thinking since we're trying to expand and do more, because God knows we've got the time, something that we could do is if we reach our $100 goal, we could start thinking about video content.
Oh boy!
You know, I mean, we tell you the truth, we've been thinking about video content, but maybe reaching the $100 level would be kind of our signal that that's what people want, and we could commit to developing some of this video content.
Yeah. I mean, yes, let's give it a shot.
Could show you my little half shelf
of
Sailor Moon figures and books.
Oh, yeah.
I have a feeling that we would not be competing in the merchandise space.
Oh, no. I do not have a collection like Ochiba Wolf or Sailor Tortilla. I do not. I would love to, but I do not. So
we do have so something we've been working on for a while that kind of comes and goes for reasons that Mika talked about earlier, is that we do have video game streaming that we do on our Just Enough Trope Twitch channel and also on our YouTube when I used to know how to do that. And then I got hit in the head and I forgot how to make it all work. But we're working on getting that going again. But we're thinking about fractionating the brands out to get technical on you, so that we'll have streaming content on our different lanes, the Sailor Noob lane, the Star Trek lane, so on and so forth.
Okay.
And so on the on the Sailor Moon lane, we could have live streams where we just talk about stuff, answer questions there. You know, wouldn't be so formal like this. Mm-hmm. We could get you playing your little game.
Oh my God.
And everybody could experience with you the journey. It's like watching, you know, a baby doesn't just start walking. First, that baby's got to fall over a million times.
Watch Mika's face fall if
and
she
then,
has to do it 11 more times.
The baby is holding on to the side of the couch, and it turns around. Get that camcorder ready, because the day of destiny begins. That baby takes a few little tappy steps right into the arms of gaming greatness.
Oh boy, you're really selling it here.
And then, like I said, I don't get to play as much video games as I want to, but when I do, my plan is to, once I get my setup set back up, is to just share that. And so have that be part of probably the main Just Enough Trope Twitch stream. But like, come watch me get killed in Halo, that sort of thing.
I should mention too, like, as bad as I am at video games, like, Kal is really good.
He's okay.
He wouldn't tell you he's good, but I think he's really good.
Yeah, well, anyway, what is this? This is a girlfriend gamer. So that's kind of what we've got planned for the future. 95%, 90,
90,
60,
90?
42,
75,
7. But that's, this is all kind of virgin territory for us, but we're glad to make the journey with all of you on board.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
We really appreciate that you enjoy this. There's no way you enjoy it more than me. I'll tell you that right now.
I'm more than me.
But we like that you're trying. And here's to another 100 episodes.
Yes, here's to
at least 100
more. At least.
Not counting point fives or what have you.
Right, exactly, that we may encounter along the way. Well, that's our show for this week, and the Name of the Moon will be punishing you next week with another episode of Sailor Noob.